thanks, but don't tell me what to do. Okay, so I'm about halfway through the 8 seasons of Game of Thrones, and I'm obsessed with The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. I cuss quite often, but foul-mouthed, dirty language is gross, and I hate it. I drink, man. I love me a beer, but I despise drunkenness. Hate it. I do everything I can to not get drunk, and in fact, we're taking an entire year off of drinking, me and Ani, because drunkenness was trying to knock at our door and cause some destruction, so we had to put an end to that. I just got done listening to every song that Eminem ever sang and wrote. Very interesting. And at the same time, I've got this Hillsong worship song in the mix that I have on loop that I keep binge listening to. I love to have a super hot sex life with my wife, Ani. Not supposed to say that, but don't tell me what to say. But I also love to have a super deep prayer life with her, where we can, we just sit and pray and worship and talk about everything. It goes way into the night. It's amazing. I'm a carpenter, so, I can swing a hammer, can work power tools, and I can cut a mean line between a wall and a ceiling, with a paintbrush. And I can also use a paintbrush to cut a mean line around the cuticles of the little nails that I'm painting all the time and love to do. My favorite pants I love to wear are these like tiger print pants that Illy gave me for Christmas, and they're basically like bum stretchy sweatpants, and I love to wear them commando, which I shouldn't say also, but they're so comfy. And I usually wear them with one leg up and all like a thug, and I'll stroll through Walmart. Yeah, they fit in Walmart, but I'll stroll through like Home Depot, and everybody will gawk and stare at my ridiculous pants. They're absurd. I love the smell of weed. Like when you walk through a cloud unexpectedly, it's such a pleasant surprise. But I've never smoked weed, never will. The Bible, to me, is like food. It's what sustains me. It's what my whole life is built on. And prayer is like my lifeline. I can't live without it. But I haven't had a quiet time in years, and I hate quiet times. Ugh. I don't like to be put in a box. Yet I have very defined beliefs and ideas on what is right and wrong. So I'm just kind of weird. I'm shy, but I love to teach. I love people. I dropped out of college to be an intern at a church. I married a woman who lives another state away. I pee in a cup when I'm driving and I don't want to stop at a rest stop. Just weird stuff. And so what is the point of all this? I didn't record this video just to share a bunch of weird things about myself, but I list all those things off to say, basically, I do what I want, and I do what I want because I know who I am, and I'm confident in who I am, and I'm finding that the longer I live and the more I observe people and things, that confidence in who you are, knowing who you are, and being okay with who you are, being confident in that is very rare. It's a rare thing. And I think it's rare because we have, in the day that we live in, there's so many voices. We're so hooked on our phones and social media, and there's so many voices coming from our social media showing us what life should look like and what happiness looks like, and all the stuff that we post, and all of the movies and TV shows and constant barrage of advertising these voices that telling you what you should look like, what you should think like, what beliefs you should have, what you should wear, what your body type should look like, how you should speak. And then we've got our friends and our family and our churches and our coworkers and our friends and other students and the popular crowd and these expectations, and then the little devils on our shoulders. And it's all these voices, and they're loud. They're loud in our world and stressful and confusing and horrible. There's so many voices. And I think that these voices, and I'm already seeing this in you kids, like y'all are in elementary school, but I'm already seeing these voices start to speak into your life and starting to tell you what. Hey, May.
Hi.
What you doing? Sorry about that. So I'm already seeing these voices start to speak into you kids' life. It's telling you what your body should look like and what is pretty and what will get you popular. And you guys are in 3rd grade and 1st grade. And if you're not careful, these voices will make you so insecure. Oh my gosh. I mean, how can you be insecure? I mean, how can you be secure about anything if this voice is telling you this is how you be a man, and this voice is telling you this is how you be a woman, and this voice is telling you there is no manhood and womanhood, and this is telling you how to be a good Christian, and this is telling you how to be a good Christian, and this is telling you how to be popular, and this is telling you what you should, I mean, all these, and so everything you do, you're second guessing and you're doubting yourself, like it's anything that you do is going to go against one of these voices or all. I mean, you start to doubt yourself, and you can start to hate yourself because you don't live up to most of these voices, what they're saying success is and beauty is, and you can start to really hate yourself, or you can start to lose your integrity to where you listen to this voice over here and you act this way, and you listen to this voice over here, you act this way. You live these double, triple, quadruple lives in all these different settings, motorbike. And so you lose your integrity entirely. You're not one person in all settings like we ought to be. And it's confusing and it's stressful. And ultimately it's enslaving. I mean, what's a slave but one who is constantly told what to do, what to wear, when to do it, how to think, what to say, what to dress. We're slaves. And it's not what God would have for us. It's not the life, it's not the mentality, it's not the image that God would have for us. He is very clear that He wants us to be free from slavery. And read Galatians. It's amazing about bondage, and particularly when it comes to rules and religion and those voices coming in trying to tell us what to do, and how Christ sets us free to be free indeed, so that we can be confident and we can love people, and I love in Psalm 119 it says, I will live in freedom because I have devoted myself to your commandments. It's this idea like God's, we hear God's voice and we live in freedom. And I love that image. So through this video, just want to give you guys the power. I want to give you the permission and the confidence to say thanks, but don't tell me what to do. Okay? To all these little V voices that you hear and that they're imposing and they boss us around and they try to control us and enslave us and make us what they want to make us, rather than letting us be ourselves and listen to the big V voice that we should be listening to. So how do we do this? How do we gain this confidence? How do we deal with all these voices that are bombarding us at all times and keep us from stooping into insecurity and self-doubt, self-hatred, and all of these things that come along with this? And I can just tell you what works for me, what helps for me, and for me, I know who I am. but more so I know whose I am, and that really defines who I am as a person. So to me, it all depends on whose I am. And so there's a few elements of who God is that really helps me know who I am, that allows me to have the freedom to do what I want to do, and tell all those other voices to don't tell me what to do. I don't need your input. I have all the input that I need. So number one, God's our Father, right? Jesus came, and the main thing he taught us about God is that he is our Father, and that's how we are to think of him and address him. And what does that make me? What's that make you? That makes me his beloved son, right? It makes you his beloved son and his beloved daughter. And that squashes a lot of voices right there when it comes to worth, when it comes to these voices telling us all the things that we need to do to be a good mom, to be a good wife, to have our stuff together, to look a certain way, to have our look pretty squeaky clean, especially when it comes to religion and rules and how much money you should be giving, how much time you should be spending in church, what teams you should serve on, all of these things, blah, 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 so that you can be worthy, so that you can be worthwhile, so that you can have value. And God, our Father, says, no, you're my son, you're my beloved son, and there's nothing that you can do that would ever change that or devalue you or give you any less worth. You have worth because you're my child. And when you have children, you get this. Eli, May, Isaac, Allie, there's nothing you guys could do that would remove my love from you, my grace from you, my generosity toward you, my passion toward you. There's nothing. You guys are valuable because you're my children. And we are valuable because we are God's children. And so all these voices that are trying to tell you that you're not worthy, that you need to do all of these things, you can say, thanks, don't tell me what to do. I have value, I have worth because God's my Father, I'm his kid, and that's enough to have all the value that I need. Number two, I think of God as the creator. And what does that make me? It means I'm his idea. And that's crazy, right? You're his idea. And so when it comes to body image, oh my gosh, I mean, I grew up the skinny kid, and it took me a long time to be okay with I'm that way, and it's okay. It's okay to be skinny. If you have more weight on you, it's okay to have more weight on you. If you don't look a certain way or have a certain face or have a certain skin complexion, or you have whatever it is that the world tells us you need to dress this way to be prettier and attractive. You need to do this to get a spouse, or you need to do this to, be pretty and be okay with your, you can say, thanks, don't tell me what to do, because God's your creator. You're his idea, and you're so beautiful. And what people think is beautiful changes all the time. And it's crazy for these loud, extremely loud voices to tell us what is pretty and what's okay to look like. And remembering that God is our creator and we're his idea really helps shut out all those voices and be okay with who you are as a person and how you look. And then also with him as creator, he is creative, and he made us in his image to be creative like him. And so all the ways that we want to express ourselves creatively, and then the dumb voices in the world and will tell us it's not good enough, or it's like we prop up these superstars that do things like a certain way, and that's the standard, and you are not okay to be creative or do what you want to do if you don't live up to how this person, and it's okay to create. It's okay to be creative in your own way, in your own expression, in whatever way you want to do that, because God's our creator, and we're made in his image, and we're made to create. And then also God's Father, God's creator, and God is our king. And for me, what this means is a lot of things, but One, it kind of gives us a job, a role, a vocation. And one of my favorite teachers right now is N.T. Wright. He's really good at talking about this stuff, but he shares how God's designed us as the royal priesthood. And so we have a job. God's the king. A king has a kingdom. We are citizens in his kingdom, and we have a role as royal priests. So we are royal alongside him, and he's given us a job to do in reflecting his image to the world, and then reflecting the praises of the world back to him. And that's our job. And so all these voices that tell you what you need to do to be successful, and how much money you need to make, and how much things you got to get done, how many followers you have on social media, and in order to give you a feeling of success, like, so these little voices telling you all these things for you to be successful. Now, God tells us, as long as you're loving people, as long as you're reflecting me to the world around you, be confident in what you're doing. He says, seek my kingdom first, and I'll add all these things to you. So be confident that you can love people, that you can love him, and he's going to provide for you, and you can feel like a success. Like, you don't have to listen to all these dumb little voices that tell you what it is to be successful. So that helps you drown out that. Also, him as king helps me to understand that he is in control and he's the boss man. And so all these little voices that tell us that we have to do certain things to prepare for the future and worry, and yes, we prepare for the future and plan and all those things, but we do it in a way that knowing that God has it in his hand. He's going to work all things together, right, for us, for the good, if we love him and we're called according to his purposes. So we trust him. And that trust is if you accept that and rest in his control as the king, as the ruler of all of this going on, a lot of those little voices that are really trying to enslave you in fear and worry and doubt, those will fade and become far more quiet. Okay? And one more thing, God is king. We are his servants. We are servants in his kingdom. And what's beautiful about that is that our king is a servant king. He's a servant leader, and he serves us, and we are his servants, and he sets us free. We are free. We're not we're slaves to God, but slaves to God means freedom. And so we are free. Basically, I think of it like this. Our life consists of loving God, and then you can do what you want, right? And we have the Spirit within us who is going to guide us, who's going to keep some guardrails up as we're watching the Game of Thrones and some crazy gory or sex scene comes up. He knows how to teach us about that and how to think about that, or don't look at this part, if you don't want to. And if you're hearing this music that's nasty, you know how to think. You can have freedom to be in this world and do what you want, and the Spirit will guide you, and he will protect you, and he will nudge you. And sometimes it's a whisper, sometimes he will grab you by force and pull you out of a situation, and you'll know. And it's beautiful having the living word in us telling us what to do. That's the voice. That's the capital V voice. And I rest and rely a lot on that capital V voice to tell me exactly what to do. And so you can too. You just need to learn to hear it, get to know God as your Father, your Creator, your King, and He'll show you. He's gonna show you. And so love God, do what you want, and it'll push away these little voices, and it'll help you to live in freedom. It'll give you some bullets to put in the chamber to blow away those voices. All right, so love you guys. Hope this is helpful.